Welcome to today's lesson where we're going to talk in two parts about how to make dialysate. Now, dialysate, which is the fluid that we use to dialyze patients all throughout the country and even in the world, it actually comes from something that we're all familiar with. It's our municipal water supply. Dialysate isn't really anything special. It comes from municipal water, and this water goes through a few steps in order to become what we use, and we call that dialysate. So we're going to talk about how this process occurs. How do you go from regular plain old drinking water to dialysate? But before we do that, we have to understand why this process has to occur. What's wrong with just using municipal water to dialyze a patient? Why can't we use the water that we normally get? And so to understand that, we have to understand what's in municipal water. So let's try to take a look at that. What are the contents of municipal water, and why are they in municipal water? So let's start with something very simple: aluminum. So aluminum is in municipal water because it helps you remove particles that you otherwise could not filter when you're about to deliver the water to your home. So this is what's called a flocculating agent. And flocculating is a really fancy word, but it basically means it's an agent that binds to all these anions and cations, or mostly anions, and causes them to precipitate. And then that precipitate is much easier to filter than the individual dissolved anions themselves. So this is a flocculating agent, and it exists because you have to get rid of certain particles in the water before you drink it. Well, the problem with aluminum is that if you put it in dialysis and expose it directly to the bloodstream, you're going to get something called dialysis encephalopathy syndrome. So aluminum deposits in the brain and can cause you to have progressively worsening neurologic function until you get dialysis encephalopathy syndrome. If you don't get this, and this is something that happens over a long period of time of being exposed to aluminum in dialysate, then what you can get is hemolytic anemia. And that's what you probably get a lot sooner than the encephalopathy. But these are the two complications that you're going to experience if aluminum is in dialysate. What else is in municipal water? Chloramine, or in some cities they just use something called chlorine. So what's the purpose of chloramine or chlorine? Well, chloramine and or chlorine are excellent at preventing bacterial growth. And you know this because if you ever go swimming, you can smell the chlorine in the water. And the chlorine is in the water for one purpose only: it's to prevent bacterial growth. Now you don't want bacteria to grow in your dialysate either. But you don't want to use chlorine to accomplish that task, because if you do, you're going to suffer from hemolytic anemia. So when we get to the next part of this lesson, we're going to have to address how it is that we prevent bacterial growth without using chlorine or chloramine. But for now, chlorine or chloramine are in the municipal water to prevent growth, and somehow we're going to have to get rid of it because we don't want to develop hemolytic anemia. What else is in the water? Fluoride. So fluoride is in the water to prevent tooth decay. But fluoride, when exposed to the bloodstream, can cause a VFib. So we don't want that. What else is in municipal water? Well, we've got bacteria, or endotoxin, the protein-based products that cause fever and nausea and vomiting that are secreted by bacteria. Well, chloramine or chlorine ought to get rid of this bacteria. But what happens is dialysate is stored. It's not generated in real time. So if it's stored and you don't have chloramine or chlorine in the dialysate, then you're going to have a chance of bacteria and endotoxins growing. So you're going to have to do something when you make dialysate to keep bacteria and endotoxins from growing because you don't have the chloramine or chlorine anymore. We've got some other things in municipal water, and I'm running out of room here, but we'll just squeeze it in. Copper, magnesium, we've got some calcium as well. We might have some lead, although not too often in the Western world anymore, and we may have some type of iron. And this is probably just general ions that you get, especially if your municipal water comes from well water, or if your municipal water is in a city that uses lead-based pipes, which is very rare in the Western world. But copper and another ion, zinc, is commonly used to line the pipes that deliver water to our homes. And so these species can all get into municipal water. They have to be removed when we make dialysate. So what we have here is a situation where we have perfectly fine drinking water that shouldn't give us any problems if we ingest it, but can give us tremendous medical complications if we expose that water to our bloodstream. So in the next tutorial, we're going to talk about how we get rid of all of these components here that are in municipal water to finally make dialysate. Thank you very much.